Hey AfterBuzzers, you're watching the Silicon Valley After Show. Check us out as we talk about Season 3, Episode 2, in the Box. Wah! Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, we're back. Switching out the panel a little bit today.
Just like Silicon Valley, it never stays the same.
You're right.
Always something new, always something fresh. It's me.
In what is it called? I don't know. Revolutionary? Like
Yeah.
Pied Piper?
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
Top of line.
Thanks guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Kelly McInerney. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo and check out these guys.
I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann. We are changing up the podcasting game right now.
Oh yeah, my name is Quinn Scillian. I don't know what to care about this one, why not? Quinn Scillian, and you guys can find me on Twitter at Quinn Scillian.
And what's up, guys? Michael Rippe. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mike Rips.
Michael Yanuk is that Yanuk?
Yannick.
Yeah, I like Yanuk. I feel like it sounds. He's not here this week, so we got Steve, and Quinn wasn't here last week, but she's here forever. I don't know.
Forever.
Wow.
Except not next week.
Have you? Yeah. Why are you making huge commitments for her right now?
I know.
Listen, I'm just
She's
going for it. Okay.
Yeah, we get it. We get each other because we were here last season.
Yeah. Where were you? Huh? Anyway.
Let's talk about the show.
Yeah.
Covering wrestling.
Oh man, it's becoming Pied Piper becoming a little company, you know, becoming a big little company with new offices, new fancy offices.
Which I was happy to see
Fancy.
because we kind of got like a little bit tricked, like we were gonna have new offices last year, and I was like so ready for a change of scenery. I was so ready to see them in a different environment, and then that didn't end up working out. So I'm so happy to finally get to see them in a nice, pretty office. It's so hip.
Yeah, and Guilfoyle and Dinesh love it.
But you know who doesn't love it?
Richard.
Yeah.
Right?
Richard's not loving it.
Mr. Hard to Please.
Well, he just loves his product, but Jack thinks product is a different thing. Mm-hmm. You know?
Jack isn't incorrect from his position.
I agree.
From an external CEO who didn't bleed for the thing, he's completely 100% correct.
Yeah.
His job, and we found out last week, his job is to just
Make
sell
money,
things
money.
for more money. So his job is to literally shine a turd and then sell it. He's the Donald Trump of the tech world.
I think that the one thing that's happened it always happens is, you know, Richard is so set in what his idea of what Pied Piper is going to be. He has like such a clear idea. You know, his platform has always been very, very, that's never been an issue with the platform, is he always knew what he wanted it to be. And every single time a wrench gets thrown in, he cannot adapt. He just can't. There's no, you know, go with the flow with Richard at all.
He's very worried.
And I think sometimes, like not all the time, but sometimes he does kind of need to just like suck it up. Don't you think?
Yeah, he's very, very stubborn in what he wants, but also,
It's his baby.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's why we love him. That's why we love him, because of his morals and because of how, you know, how he wants ownership. He wants to kind of take this thing from a seedling into like a beautiful elm.
He wants to change the world, you know, and basically it's a big kind of change to be like a cool Dropboxy thing to just let's save all the data, let's not share it with anybody.
I have a long-held theory in the tech world in general that there's always a problem solver and a money maker. Lyft is a problem solver. They're out to solve the problem of how do people get places without using their own car. Uber is a money maker.
I don't agree.
Uber is out to make money, and if you don't believe me,
Explain.
look into
Lyft costs more now than Uber. Figure that out. Explain that.
I'm going from the top, which is if you ever look into Uber Exchange, they try to lease people cars for about $200 a week, which is way too much.
Wow.
And that's from the top down. That they're more interested in the money.
$200 a week is too much.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know.
For car lease, yes, because that's $800 a month. It's more like
What,
Well, let's talk about Hooli or let's talk about the show.
No, I mean we
Yeah,
are.
like that was-
Well, there's
but
so
I was-
many real world parallels to it.
Yeah,
It's like really easy to
that
want.
you need a Richard, but you also need a Jack. You need
You
somebody.
gotta be able to mesh them together,
where's
of
the
course.
middleman?
But there's got to be some
well,
mix of the two.
Yeah.
for
That's
sure.
what I'm
there needs to be an
saying.
Uber and a Lyft.
Because we love Richard, but sometimes when people are bringing him new ideas, he gets so offended so fast. But it's like, wait, like let's actually listen to this because this might be something that could be potentially really beneficial.
I think so far it's clear that even not just this season, but so far in the show's 3 seasons, that Richard hasn't seen any money really.
No,
Yeah.
He's got his
Nobody
idea.
has.
He's about to see the money, and yet he never does. But somehow things are progressing.
Yeah.
He's now lost his company.
Rigby.
They now have these beautiful offices. They have a chef. Chef Amy is now cooking them
gluten-free waffles.
gluten-free waffles.
But to be fair, Richard was never in it for the money.
No, he's
It's everyone around him wants money.
yeah. He
Right.
wants to change the world.
But he now doesn't even have control of his company. So Richard's in this weird place, right?
Yeah, I read a little article saying that this season mirrors a lot about what happened to Steve Jobs. So, that's
Pushed
pretty
out.
cool. Yeah,
Okay.
he was an innovator. That's the word I was thinking of before. Innovative.
Yeah, he was an innovator. He didn't care how much things cost
Yeah.
or what
Yeah.
the stock
And
was, or
look- yeah.
But don't you guys think that like CTO is a better place for Richard than CEO?
if the CEO, was in line with Richard's vision.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have a brand
And
new
last week-
CEO
yeah.
just thrown into the fire, not like
And
a
he was
Richard's friend or
completely
something.
absent all the entire episode. He was nowhere to be found.
Well,
Which
he's
is
just
really-
a moneymaker.
Yeah.
He's
More-
just a millionaire. Like, he's living like a millionaire. Okay, you guys got it. I'm gonna...
He's
Yeah.
more concerned
Yeah.
with watching his horses mate.
Which is...
Which,
Okay,
like, what
hold
did you
on.
guys think about that? Do
That
you
was
want to
it.
come back to that later, or do you guys want to talk about that now?
I
we
thought
can-
that was very funny.
That
Did you?
was
Yes. Is that not humorous?
I thought it was a little cheap.
it was
That's what
That's
rich
Mike
people
Judge,
do. Rich
though.
people pay a lot of money to have a stallion breed with their thoroughbred.
Okay.
it's also
And he
why it's
was
on
the-
HBO.
Yeah, and he was literally just like, I need to make sure that happens.
I will say that I haven't been like, I mean, I've really liked these 2 episodes a lot. I'm actually really excited about this season, but I haven't LOL'd that much this season so far, as much as I did last season and before. I'm not like sitting there chuckling really hard at the show right now.
I mean, I feel like we're never gonna get that dick joke like season 1, but
That was epic.
it'll be...
I know. I'm saying that I'm liking it despite the fact that I don't think that they're like hitting it as hard as they usually do, which is why I thought like them doing this whole horse thing was like them grabbing for something to kind of make it really, really funny, to kind of make up for the fact that we haven't had like these hit joke.
I feel like they're kind of focusing more on the story a little bit now, because it's like, all right, how much long can we stretch out all these mishaps with Pied Piper, you know?
This is a transition phase for sure.
Yeah. So while that's going on with Richard, Gavin is humiliated continuously about Nucleus, and he wants to scrap that. You know, he wants to not worry about the past, but unfortunately, being in a tech world always just pops up, you know? So he gets the Nucleus people to try and get rid of the neutrality, or not technically, because that's unethical. What do you guys think? We only saw a little bit of what they're discovering. Do you guys?
Yeah, I don't think the whole thing with him with the Google search, I think that was just a way for us to get these characters into a situation where they were gonna figure out the algorithm.
Yes, but it was a good thing, because we learned from last week that the way he handled the nucleus and the independent contractor agreement, or the contractor agreement, the employment agreement, sorry. The way he handled all of that, he is a successful CEO, and that's the business sense. But by Googling yourself, people like me will just flat out say, like, no, that he's saving face, he's being silly. And those will usually be the top trends on a search algorithm. The only thing is he doesn't care.
Which is weird, because like last episode he was doing all this thing, he was getting a lot
He
of
was
praise
getting
for it.
praise in the business world.
Yeah, okay.
But real people
Yeah.
think he's an asshole.
Right.
I think this was another typical Gavin move.
Yeah.
He's upset, and he doesn't say directly, get rid of the stuff, but he's intimating that they should remove anything that makes him look bad,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, he's definitely that kind of
And
guy.
he somehow is able to spin whatever he wants into a positive. It makes him look positive, but what he says to the people is not really positive.
Yeah. He's a
He's a really good spin artist.
big bad guy, you know?
We didn't see any of Raviga this episode at all.
No.
Is that weird, or do we not? Yeah. It's weird. We usually see Monica, at least a little.
I think, well, they're only chairs in it now,
Yeah.
right? So they're not really
They're not the day-to-day
hands-on.
anymore.
Yeah, they're not going to be as hands-on. Yeah.
They also introduced a bunch of new characters, the whole sales team.
Yeah.
Keith from the Southeast region or
I
whatever.
thought that,
Chandler Man.
actually, I thought that was kind of funny. If there was a part where there was LOLs, it was the continuous.
Yeah.
They introduced their names to Richard to the point where he's like, "I know who you are.
He is like, I know your name.
I'm Jan the Man."
Yeah. Hi, Steve, AfterBuzz TV Sports.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
shouting
Oh,
Kelly.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Shout out
Go
to
ahead,
Kelly.
Steve.
Continuous.
I just wanted to let everyone know. I didn't have
You
a
didn't
thing.
have anything.
I didn't have anything.
You gotta
I just
commit to
wanted
the
do-
bit.
Next time you do it, right?
But Steve,
Alright.
don't you work in a startup company?
I do work in a
What's it
startup.
Whoa, you need to throw her a couple bucks for that, for sure.
When they do. I work for a startup company. We're called Evercar. We are the we're the Zipcar for Uber drivers. So if you need a car in Los Angeles, you can rent Nissan Leafs from us for $5 an hour or $55 for the day. We also have Priuses for $7.
For $7 an hour?
Yes. For
Shit,
a Prius,
not
gas
bad.
included.
And what's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is at Steve Kaufmann, Kaufmann.
If you want to know more information, that's where you find it.
You can find them at myevercar.com.
Boom.
That's...
But are there like similarities?
No, there are so many similarities to... And what we're finding right now is we just started out trying to solve a problem. And now we're a thing that we're trying to they've just gone on a bit of a hiring thing where there are just a bunch of more people on emails that I'm like, oh, who's this? Who's that? Who's this? And then I meet people and they're like, yeah, my job my job is to do what you're doing in Los Angeles and make sure everything you do every day is scalable to every city everywhere.
Cool.
That's my job. And I meet a lot of jobs like that I was like, oh, that's a thing
Very nice.
where you can just make something scalable. That's you come in and like, oh, so that's how you do it if you have 6 people in an office that can handle it. How do you do it if there are 1,000 drivers in one city, and how do you make that as most efficient?
Just kind of like how Richard's trying to scale it to consumers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trying
we're
to
back.
Bring it back?
We're back.
Thank
You
you.
did.
Thank you.
You brought me in, you brought me back.
What did you
We're all
guys
good.
think about the whole business model versus,
Consumer
facing?
Well, then there again is the difference between what Jack wants and what Richard wants.
Yeah.
Because
Richard's all about consumer first. Jack is all about business first.
You know what it kind of reminded me of was in The Social Network when Mark was really wanting to have to really build up Facebook before they were going to start making any money off of it, and Eduardo wanted to start trying to find advertisers right away and everything. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
because neither of them were wrong.
Right.
Can go about it different ways. of
Yeah, like
course.
Mark
Different
was,
ideas.
Mark thought the product was based in cool, whereas Wardo was like, well, I think money.
Obviously, eventually we're going to want to make money off of
And
it.
that's where we are with Richard and Jack. That Jack is experienced it. I don't care what it is. I'm going to come in and shine it up and sell it to somebody else.
And they said they weren't even thinking they were going to see any kind of revenue for 4 years
They
or
weren't.
something
The
like
freemium model, you would... That said, in the freemium model, if you could... Because something like Facebook that was $1 billion, $2 billion company, or something like Uber currently that's actually stretched out on its budgets, that you could... What's the best way to go? That people will fund you based on your future earnings. So you could be a thing that's losing millions of dollars every week.
Yeah, but 4 years is a long
if
time
in
to
4
wait.
years, 10 years, 15 years, if you can project a sales total, you can sell a venture capitalist on that. And that's what most tech companies do in one way or the other. It's a giant
isn't 4
shell
years
game.
a long time? Am I
No,
crazy?
4 years is an incredibly
But-
long time. And what Jack's saying
Yeah.
is there's a bubble
Yeah.
that you don't have 4 years.
Do you guys
But
know anything about the bubble he was talking
I
about?
think it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have 4 years, and if it's the wrong time, you have 4 days. Right?
Yeah,
It just depends the time of the. could
Well,
be-
I don't think we're ever going to see a tech bubble burst again.
No, we will.
Like,
Yeah.
Bubbles come and they go.
yeah,
It's
but
like
like,
you blow a bubble, eventually it pops.
well, I think we'll see I think tech is so big now that we'll see sectors of tech, and those bubbles will burst.
But either
like,
way, they're selling they're trying to sell 2 different products.
yes. Yeah.
Create 2 different products. So Richard doesn't care about money, like we said. He just wants to create something revolutionary when Jack is just like, I just want to make money. Let's do it. Let's on to the next one, you know?
Because Richard's doing his job, which is I want to make the best possible thing.
Yeah.
Jack's doing his job, which is I want to sell whatever it is. I don't care what it is. I'm just way better at sales than all the people I just hired.
Yeah, they're both good intentions, but it's not working out.
Not at
And-
all.
So far, I haven't seen much from Jack. in this episode to show that he was so good. I mean, this episode kind of portrayed Jack as just spendthrift and careless, didn't really care so much. He's done it before, he's going to do it again. Maybe it's going to work out, but I think that the way they showed us Jack's character in this episode is they're developing him as like, he's not really there that often.
Right. Yeah.
He's going to spend the money. I mean, he even said anyone that needs anything, just sign a board for whatever you want.
The guy in group chat, Wolf Ratchie, says basically the same thing. I think the CEO is just going to cash, grab, and bounce.
Yep, exactly. And so you're
just
seeing,
on to the next one.
You're seeing that maybe Richard's the only one noticing this, even though it's his own company, but he's noticing it and kind of being like, he hasn't really gone after Jack yet. He started to talk to him when he went to the horse area, but he hasn't gone after him where I think it's going to get more. I think this is going to heighten
burst.
clearly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, is like every single season so far, we've seen Richard try and make these relationships with these people who are supposed to help him, and every single time it's had to be on to the next one. So now, just to break the the kind of pattern, I would love to see a way to figure out Richard and Jack to compromise and keep working together.
I think
But
the
that's
goal.
the same thing.
I think the goal is midway through this season, we're all gonna think it might happen, and then by the end of the season, nope, Jack is exactly who we knew he was in the first episode. And I thought this last week when he was like, oh, well, I'm not gonna be CEO if you're not my CTO. I thought that was a bluff.
You did?
Oh yeah.
And that was a sales bluff that he's like, oh, this guy, I can't buy this guy, so if I told him it won't, none of Pied Piper won't happen without him, then he'll come on.
Well, then let me rephrase. I think when all is said and done, I think Richard is going to end up kind of doing this all on his own. You know what I mean? I think it's So when all is said and done, that's probably what's going to go down.
Steve Jobs kind of, right? Maybe they hired him back as CEO.
But I'm saying in terms of a character arc, in terms of like watching Richard grow and change and like learn, I think it's really important for him to learn how to compromise with people and decide that there are other ways to run his company besides just the one way he thinks.
I don't know. I don't want to you don't want to have him give up and just like.
No, I don't. I'm telling you,
make something he doesn't want to do.
I'm talking about like compromise, taking what he's learning and using that for his advantage.
That's right, but we have seen Richard grow in the sense that he was very shy and held back a lot in the first few seasons. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
At this point, it seems like he's more combative, or at least he has these ideas, and instead of just totally being quiet, he's more out there speaking his mind a little bit.
Yeah.
We've seen that
definitely,
development.
100%.
The Richard from season 1 would have never stood up for himself.
Now he's at least standing up to
Huge
a degree.
backbone.
He still is a little bit shy in certain areas, but you could see that he's at least more.
Well, he's an
ready.
awkward guy in
He's
general.
confident in his product, you know. Now, like in season 1, he was like, "Sorry, I don't know if this is right." At TechCrunch, and now he's confident.
And you
in
can
what
tell
he
when he's up there with his PowerPoint, like he had an answer for every single question. You know what I mean? Like he obviously knows what he's doing.
Speaking of startups and all this, what about
Do you have one you would like to plug as well?
I don't. What about this is Airbnb related, and what about
money?
Jared? Can't get back into his house. He thinks he's moving home.
Yes.
He runs into major issues as he comes home to find where he's going to be, and then he can't.
Speaking of backbone, Jared, come on.
Well, yeah.
It's too nice.
Because there's the legal way, and then there's the effective way. You could just throw somebody out of your house.
You mean like physically?
Yes, you could just physically throw somebody out of your house and then live there and then spend a year in court. Fighting like assault charges.
Jared's not gonna touch anybody,
he should hire somebody who would.
Erlich should.
The skeleton thing was like the saddest.
Jared finds out he's gonna be out of his house for a year at least.
If he had a good lawyer, it would be more like 6 months. I've been on the squatter side of that. It
You've
can
been
be
a squatter?
Not technically, but it'll take in California. It could take up to 100 days. You would have to hire a sheriff to serve a notice of. You have to give a notice of pay, rent, or quit. After 3 days, then you can file on something disclosure. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's essentially the court case that says you have like 60 days to respond to this court date, and you'll have a court date, and that's what the judge will see. Then the judge will send the sheriff to actually evict you, and you'll get like a 7-day eviction notice.
I got it.
But then
I got it.
You can hold that process up every time.
We might see that happen because it's happening to two people. Erlich is on the other side.
Yes.
That was kind of our B plot this week, was like about Erlich not having enough room for a new incubator or something. Like he wants to have this guy move in.
Well, he's just trying to make extra money.
Yeah.
I mean, Erlich has always been about the money, and so here's another way to make money. The funny thing about Erlich's situation is that he creates it because he kicks Jin Yang out.
Yeah.
And then he tells Jin Yang about Jared's situation and then realizes after that,
That was funny.
oh, I just told him how he's going to screw me for the next year.
I'm gonna miss if we don't get to see Erlich hanging out with, hanging around the guys and like that kind of back and forth banter.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to get more coconut water.
Yeah,
He'll
so
be
I'm
back.
hoping. That's what I'm saying. I just hope that we don't get to see Erlich in that situation anymore because that's like so much fun.
Is Richard still and everybody still gonna
still live there, I
okay,
think.
well then, because I was wondering what's gonna because he's not really a part of the company anymore. He's like a
He has a chair.
He's has a chair, but he's not active in it.
He's
Right.
a chair through the VC firm, but he isn't once again, not day to day.
Yeah.
Whereas Richard's CTO, is anyone actually drawing a paycheck? I feel like they have to all be drawing a paycheck at some point. It's just something
I
they're
think
not going to
Jack
talk
probably
about.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Jack mentioned, because now that we're funded, that I think some of them have to be drawing paychecks and like paying for things like.
Well,
the
Big
car.
Head has $20 million.
Yes.
Big Head is loaded.
Big Head.
We didn't see him.
We
get
didn't
that.
see Big Head.
What do you guys think he's gonna do with that money? Do you want to put this into?
I don't want to go to predictions.
When we get there.
Predictions, yeah.
When we get there. Are we there?
We're there.
I guess.
We're
Sure, why not?
Let's go.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
What do you guys think, Michael? What about you, Michael? What do you prefer?
Michelle.
Keep going. Without any easy
I can run some off.
right.
I think Jack Barker is a pump and dumper, which is why they showed us horses banging. Because that's a known thing in the stock world and the business world that you pump and dump. Like you just show up, pump up the value, and then you dump it out at like double,
That
triple
was
the value.
very symbolic.
It was incredibly
Pumping
symbolic.
wise, was very symbolic.
Mike Judge is a very methodical person. He wouldn't just show us that. I think that's him showing us that this character is literally a pump and dumper.
Okay.
I think Big Head is going to use that $20 million to try to bail Pied Piper out of those seats. I feel like Pied Piper's being valued at higher than that. That $20 million won't do enough. But I think he's going to try to do something.
I keep wanting to believe in Big Head so much, and then he just keeps being Big Head.
Or I think he's going to get, or he might just use the $20 million to like build something in that similar pump and dump fashion that if him and all these brilliant Hooli minds that he hung out on the roof, if they all bought an office space and put a name on it, $20 million could become $100 million without them doing anything. That is a true, like, if they just had like a marketing person and like 15 of them just want to hang out in a free office, in an office space that they paid for, they could, in the course of like 2-3 years, pump and dump that into a couple $100 million. That's my second prediction. I'll leave it at that. They'll call it Big Head Incorporated.
This new guy, maybe the new guy who is trying to get a room from Erlich, because they gave him like kind of a long scene, so I feel like we're going to see more of him, right?
Yeah,
'Cause he's
well,
like,
this seems like a long term.
yeah, so I'm wondering if maybe like he could have a new idea, like that could be kind of fun, like a new product.
I don't know if we're gonna see him again because I think Jin Yang's gonna hold it down. He's not gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess. I guess, yeah, we might not see him again. It kind of felt like we would, but maybe we won't.
Although if we have a brilliant like tech startup idea, we could do the Uber of evictions.
Yeah.
You could be the
You and that Uber.
evictions on demand.
But either way, it would be kind of cool maybe to see like a new young guy. I mean, like, I guess we're going to see that with Nucleus, though. Kind of like a little bit of rivalry.
Okay. Okay, my predictions. I would say that you had a good point about Big Head. I didn't think about it, but I do think that at some point this season, Big Head is going to come in as kind of Richard's savior. And I think because he's got all the money, he's going to somehow, that friendship is going to reignite, and they're going to be on the same team.
Or he's going to blow it on something stupid.
That might be true too, but there's somehow going to be a reunification of the Big Head Richard friendship.
He doesn't value money or things that highly. Like he just values his friends.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that friendship is gonna rekindle and be a part of it as far as Pied Piper's concerned. And also, I think that the new logo, we didn't talk about that, but it's on my hat. I think that's gonna be a hit.
Hey, they're already making hats.
When did you get that hat?
And yeah, I did have this hat last week, but no one really noticed that it was the new logo yet.
I'm sorry.
Well, you gotta wait till the new logo drops. The
And
logo
it dropped tonight.
I think, guys, that the Nucleus people and Richard joined forces because they mentioned like, oh, this is just like Hendricks at TechCrunch. So maybe they're gonna be like, hey, buddy.
No, I think they're gonna go after him.
But I don't know. It doesn't really seem like these Nucleus guys are super on the same team either. Because at the end, they're all trying to take those pictures and stuff.
Every man for himself.
Oh yeah. So I don't really know if we can like even kind of group them as like a
Maybe
group.
one of them.
Or they're gonna.
Yeah, that
good
main
guy.
guy who like did it.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna try to sell it to the other company that sucks. End out, I think. The company from last
I know
season.
what you're talking
That
about.
company.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we are going to see them again this season, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And also, I don't think Jared's gonna leave the incubator place. I just think he's gonna stay in the garage forever.
Well,
That's
he's
Jared is my favorite character.
And he's also never going to sleep.
Yeah.
He just doesn't
Nope.
sleep.
he will not sleep this whole season.
There's no sleeping for Jared.
Yeah. Until next time, though. Got anything? You guys want to add anything else? Where can we find you guys on the internet?
You could find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mike Rips. It's probably right here.
You guys can find me at Twitter at Quinn Scillian, on Instagram at Quinstagram, and if you want, you can search for me on Vine at the Quinn B.
And Google. You could just Google.
You could Google me too.
You could just find her.
It's
on
just gonna
Vine.
be my dad and my friends.
Okay. You guys can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann. If those of you who've watched WWE Payback tonight, in about 10 minutes, I'll be in another studio covering that here for AfterBuzz TV. So stick around with me for that. And otherwise, I'm doing Gotham tomorrow night. And find me on Twitter. I'll plug all my other stuff there.
And I'm Kelly McInerney. You could find me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo, or Snapchat. I love it. It's Kelly McInerney.
What is
but
the
with
Snapchat?
But with 3 L's.
I'm a grandpa and I don't understand Snapchat.
Time for bed, Grandpa. Bye.
It's like the Uber of Snapchatting.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.